March the 11th, 7:02 a.m. Central Daylight Savings Time. You know, back in the older days, the 60s and the 70s, and even perhaps the 80s, you know, you had people out there shooting rifles. And truth be told, there were some fish stories told, okay? As far as deer shot kills for distance, squirrel shots kill for distance, okay? The shooter might have got lucky. An incline angle to target or decline angle to target may have helped them make the shot versus shooting under the target or shooting low and not harvesting an animal. Laser rangefinders. It's my opinion, anybody that wants to become more advanced in shooting should have a laser rangefinder. Now, they've come a long ways, and they've come down in price. You know, I had one that was rated at 400 yards. I gave it away. Now, it wouldn't lock on to a deer at 400 yards. It would lock on to steel, maybe a big rock. Okay. And you're looking at three here. You got a Vortex Ranger 1800. You've got the Bushnell, the Truth. That was popular for the bow hunters back when. This is an Element Optics Helix 1500. This one's rated at 1800 yards. This one's rated at 1500 yards, and I'm not so sure about that one. I think it's about a 400 yarder. All these rangefinders will give incline angle, but only this one actually can be programmed for a cartridge and give you an actual solution of how to hold your gun, your scope, how to dial your scope or use a reticle to hold on an animal. Now, there's some more companies out there make something like that, okay? So you'll be in the wild and you will see game, and you'll be, you know, you'll be wondering, well, how far is it? And I'm going to walk around here, and I'll show you something here. It is my opinion, I was out yesterday late morning hunting. You're going to see a video where I shoot a 61-yard fox squirrel with a FX air gun. A headbuster. If I would have looked at that squirrel without range finding him, I would have thought he was farther than what he was. Why is that? See the top of that ridge up yonder? See how that land goes up? You've got this void. Well, top of that ridge up yonder is about 475. How do I know that? Because I went up there and I've lasered it backwards, and I had to shoot that tree line up there and then shoot back down here where I'm standing. So what I'm saying is when you're out hunting and you're shooting across a small hollow, okay, that's where you'll think, because remember, you can't, you're taking the land you're taking the land out of it. See that field? When you're standing at the field level looking, you'll probably be better at judging distance. But when there's a void where you're looking across a canyon, across a hollow, you will think the distance is probably farther than what it is, okay? You know, the way the crow flies, that's how we say it in Tennessee. All right. Now, incline angle is big, even for a squirrel hunter. Now, let me say this. Leaves on. Leaves on, it's not so problematic because generally you're limited distance-wise. But the woods around here in Tennessee have changed because of logging. You see that hill up there? See how bare it is versus up there. So with leaves on now, you get around some of these forests and these log yards, I'll call them. You can shoot farther with leaves on. And your incline angle with distance, your arrow grows. Meaning the shot, the incline angle is going to drive the shot elevation higher. Meaning you have a tendency you could shoot over. And I've done looked at this, even looking at it with a 22 long rifle with about 1,070 feet per second dialed in, okay? When you start getting into these higher mounted scopes over these barrels, you can be looking at 0.6 of an inch difference, okay? And you need to know that when you shoot that squirrel. Now remember, a squirrel's head is bigger than 0.6 of an inch, isn't it? So you could use some Kentucky windage, we'll call it, basing your hold on the squirrel head. You might get away with that. I've done it for several years, okay? But I generally run a lower mounted scope. A laser rangefinder, believe it or not, you can actually take it to the wild. Even this Element Optics, it's got this ballistics calculator in it. You'll see me out and I'll be pointing that thing around, and when I take a shooting position, I'll be sort of planning on where a squirrel may show up, and I may flash that rangefinder up in there just to see what it sees. It's like, oh. I'll give you an example of what could happen to you. I had a squirrel that I hit a limb in front of, 71 yards. With the angle on that, I was down the hill, plus the tree is above me, and the tree is adding elevation because the squirrel is in the tree, okay? A typical hold for a scope dial-up at 71 yards with this air rifle is in the neighborhood of about 3 MOA. When I put that laser up in that tree that squirrel was in, he told me to dial 1.75. See the difference? So 1.25 or maybe 1.5 MOA at 71 yards. Well, you can do the math on that. That's about what? That's about a whole inch. Okay? So that laser was helping me and preventing me from shooting high. Well, granted, I didn't get the squirrel because I shot a little twig limb right in front of him, right in front of his head. Okay. It's a good investment. You get into shooting, you may just, I know money can be tight for people, but it's something you need to seriously consider if you want to become more advanced with your shooting, okay? You're not going to catch an advanced shooter out in the wild if they can afford one of these things without one of these lasers. And probably, truth be told, more of your advanced shooters are out in the wild now using these rangefinders with these ballistics calculators built in them. Now, I'm going to say this. I love this Element Optics Helix 1500. But here's something I don't quite understand. You have to program the wind into this thing. Now, you can change it in the wild as long as you've got a cell phone or an iPad with you. What I haven't quite figured out is why they didn't make it where you could change it using the actual laser itself, where you could actually program wind per shot if that's what you decided to do based on the actual current conditions. So if you fellows at Element Optics decide to make another product, you need to give that some consideration. I believe it's possible. Okay. Anyway, that's going to conclude the video. I hope you enjoyed.